Well, it's 7 o'clock. As you know, I'm Dr. Jeff. We're going to get started in my talk tonight. Tonight we're going to be talking about proper diets, how to take care, and the word diet we'll get into what we really should be doing instead of a diet. Now tonight I want you to think of this as proactive and reactive, because those are the lifestyles that we have an option of living. Now, I'm proactive, and I'm one of those guys who's trying to take matches out of people's hands, all right, because they're causing fires. And I'm dealing with reactive people who are not only playing with matches, they're running around on fire, okay? They're not stop, drop, and rolling. They're on fire in their lives because of the choices that they're making. And here I am trying to convince them that they should not be, they should be preventing a fire, and they're not listening because of their crisis. You guys see that, don't you? And I can't get people to listen when they're so far down the road and not understanding what they're supposed to be doing. So that's why when people put themselves in a position where they have to lose 50, 80, 100 pounds, your diet, what you eat, will become incredibly restrictive. Life is a whole lot more fun when you don't paint yourself into a corner. Life is so much more fun when you're not looking across from a medical doctor who's saying you have cancer. Because if you have cancer, now you have to deal with that. Where these things weren't God's plan for you, there are plans for ourselves because we're really not listening. So if you don't take care of yourself and you don't exercise, then you're going to have a heart attack, and then you're going to have to exercise at that point, which is going to be way harder because you've damaged your heart. Now I know people, they're confused about exercise. They think people are going to die from it. Well, it's the exact opposite. You're going to die from not exercising. So once you start to understand that, you'll start to make different choices. You'll start to change the wording in your brain, because people always say things to me like, that's hard to do. And it's like, boy, is it ever going to be hard to do, because you have just told yourself. So change it. It used to be hard to do. And now I've got better building blocks, and I have a game plan, so it's not going to be hard to do. It's just time. It's a matter of talking to yourself in a different way, instead of, and your friends say this to you all the time, how you doing? Not bad. What the heck is not bad? So we have these lingos, and we're constantly saying things to ourselves that make absolutely no sense. Not bad. Not though. You're going to be bad. I haven't caught that. No, not yet. What do you mean, not yet? Not yet is you telling me that hopefully I'll go home and I'll catch what you have, because that sounds like a really neat disease you have. It's crazy, but that's how people talk. Change your communication to yourself. Oh, Adam. You guys getting sick of this, or just me? Every time. I did this with Adam earlier. Oh no, it's working great.
Yeah, working great.
He's going to say you finally listened. I say, no, it was broken. It just fixed itself. God's power. These are the 5 essentials of maximized living. We're going to spend time on number 3 today. All right, remember, look at these 5 essentials as 5 wheels on your vehicle. If you go, I don't have 5 tires. You go, oh, you do. You have 4 tires that are on the ground. You have a spare. You need them all. Okay, so don't say this tire is more important than the other. We're focusing on number 3 today. That does not mean you can ignore all the other factors also in life. So it's a matter of being able to get well at all of these things instead of being awesome at one and kind of bad in the other ones. Intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is not a diet, and it's not about starving. So today I went 21 hours with my intermittent fast, and I would have done better, but Linda cooked stuff. So this afternoon, it was all over. It was like, all right, I'm going to go eat. So in the last, since 3:30 to now, excuse me, about 3.5 hours, I've probably made up for 2 of my meals. I probably won't eat any more today. But intermittent fasting, it allows me to still eat 3 meals a day. It's just in a compressed amount of time. And when we do that, we're not starving ourselves. What I'm doing is I'm eating in a way that people used to eat 60 years ago. People didn't snack all the time. We bought into this, oh, I need a snack between every meal. Oh, I need to snack. Well, how's that working out? You look around, probably not so well. Look at people when the newspaper has a picture of someone on the beach in the 1950s, and you go, hey, those people look like the movie stars. It's like, no, that's what everyone looked like back then. Because they didn't eat a lot of sugar, they exercised, they walked, they biked, they were active. So you know what? If you do those things, your body will stay well. So it's what we've done to our body. This is not a genetic thing at all. Genetics take centuries to change in your body, if not longer. Intermittent fasting has both a spiritual purpose and a healing purpose. Now, people like to separate those things out. I kind of like saying, well, don't compartmentalize your life. These things are all, in a sense, one. Like church on Sunday is not, well, I went to church, I'm good now I'm going to go honk my horn. Sometimes you have to honk your horn. Talk about it.
Yes.
Then it might get beat up someday by someone because
He drives my car and
people
honks the horn.
text. I'm driving home last night and there's someone beside me texting. So I give them the horn, I give them one of these, and they put it away. So they know they've done something wrong. But then it's going to get out of the car
And
one
then
day
they
and
write down my list.
someone's going to clock her with a purse. It's going to be her fault. Just saying, that stuff happens. And with fasting, it shows us the discipline that we have in our life. So I could have eaten earlier, but the reality is a lot of times when I think I'm hungry, I'm really not hungry. A few weeks ago I went 32 and a half hours, and I don't know if I told you guys this story. I ran into one of my patients and said, hey, yeah, he does better fasting, more fasting than I do. I said, how long do you fast? He goes, like 21 days, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go eat now, because that's not even on the radar. I have to go read 7 books and then ask you 100 questions. So I'm not going to do those things until I know more about it. But yeah, 32 and a half hours. So that was one of my longest without, a booming headache, which meant my blood sugar levels were in balance. So some of you aren't going to get 10 hours out of it. Some of you might get 12 hours out of it. And your body's going to tell you you're hungry. You're not. We all have fat in our body. Your body's trying to look for the simple way out. That's what the hunger pains are all about. But we all have stored fat on our body. So you just think you're hungry. And if we could force our body into a fat-burning state, then your body doesn't need glucose for everything. So the rules about fasting. With fasting, unlimited coffee, water, black tea, small amount of milk with the tea, but no sugar during the fasting. To get the... What was that? Herbal tea, yes. Right.
Juices?
No. Not when it comes to fasting. So we're not going to get into juice fast. I'm not putting any calories fasting. So this is what we're doing. Now, there's other people, the dry fast. This is back to Sid. Sid's this guy who, like I said, he's superhuman. So I asked him about dry fasting, which means he doesn't even drink water. And I said, what was your longest one? He goes, 9 days. It's like, 9 days, can you die? But he didn't just say, how do you get up today? And my diet's been horrible, and I'm going to go 9 days without drinking water. That probably wouldn't be good for you. But Sid works his way up to these things. So, we're always told these things. You can't go that long without water. It's like, well, Sid does. So, if you are in a healthier state, if you have a good diet, you're going to be able to do it. The rest of you, tonight's about a workshop. It's about getting information, figuring out your strengths, figuring out your weaknesses, and then starting to move in a direction to become a better human being. So Jordan Peterson's book, The 12 Rules of Life, is very clear. We want to compare ourselves to other people all the time. How about just becoming a better version of you and trying to do that every day? No one's asking you for perfection or divinity. We're asking you to become a better version of you. And that's all we want you to do, and then the world becomes a better place. And you're not standing in a line with a bunch of sick people talking about what organs you need taken out and what joints you need replacing. Intermittent fasting, you can do it on alternate days, so you can do this stuff a lot. You can do it on a 5-2 cycle, so 5 days of just normal eating, 2 days of fasting. So there's a lot of flexibility to these programs, but it's just a matter of starting and then seeing where it leads you. Benefits? Well, gee, it's free. Most things aren't free when it comes to the diet world, isn't it? You can't call Oprah about Weight Watchers and get that for free. They're trying to sell you food. They're trying to sell you things all the time. You know what? Not eating is not only not free, but you're not spending your money on food. So this is, a pretty good deal to get some great results. It's flexible, it's convenient, you can do it forever. It increases your metabolism. So if I were to eat 3 meals a day, but I'm going to stick at 2, maybe 2.5, I might have something light tonight, I can take in the same amount of calories and I can lose weight just by compressing my meals. So people can lose weight the hard way or they can lose weight the easy way. It's just a matter of knowing what you can trick your body into doing. And it's really not tricking your body. It's just what people used to do for centuries, and we've decided that the body needs all this sugar and all these grains and all these things that you really don't need. So it's just a matter of understanding what people used to do, then copying off of them, and you know what will happen? You'll probably become like them. So 14% better metabolism, so you'll burn a whole lot better. Less muscle loss with conventional diets. When we lose weight, you are going to lose some muscle and you're going to lose some fat. You're not just going to lose fat. But the key is to lose more fat than muscle, all right? Because that's what we're looking for. So if you're doing it properly, you should be able to lose fat, and yeah, some of the muscle will kind of be lost too. But when you're losing the equal amount, or worse, more muscle and less fat, then your body is not losing weight properly. That's why we have a Tanita scale. So we can not only check your weight and your BMI, we can check your body fat. And when we check your body fat, then we can give you advice to how it's going. Because people, I look at weight losses, I call that downstream. And downstream is important, but downstream happened because of upstream. So if you're doing everything right up here, the results are down there. You can't do everything wrong and get results at the end. And that's the problem with the concept of a diet. Diet truly means what you eat. It does not mean lose weight. And that's where people get really confused when people change the meaning of words. 80% of the population is somewhat insulin resistant. That means your blood sugar levels are already not the way they're supposed to be. This is because you're having 6 to 8 grains or servings of grains every day. You're starting your day. Your breakfast is more sugar than the World Health Organization says you should have during the day. And that's just your breakfast. I'm not even going to get into your muffin or cake in the shape of a muffin that you're going to have at 10 o'clock, and you're just going to go to the next and the next and the next sugar, because that's what sugar addicts do. They just don't realize they're doing it. Autophagy. Has anyone ever heard that expression before? Autophagy is kind of neat. Our body is so intelligent. Now, there's cells in our body that are constantly dying, and there's other ones that are constantly replacing it. So we are the greatest recycler, and everything has its own lifespan throughout time. So a red blood cell, 120 days, all right? That's how long they last, then they die. Real simple. So what happens with autophagy is when you stop eating, like you're doing your fasting, your body looks around and says, there's not enough food to go around. So the intelligence of your body now starts looking around and saying, well, you were kind of 95% life expectancy already. Hey, guess what? It's now 100%. So your body starts to kill off those cells. Those cells don't get the nutrition anymore. So your body, once again, deals with that cell, and then it starts to make sure that it's growing healthy cells. It wants to make sure the new cells are healthy, right? So it's going to take away from the other cells. The intelligence of the body. Drugs don't do this. Those drugs your doctor says will help you lose weight, they don't do this. They have serious side effects. If you just do what the body's designed to do, then you'll be fantastic. When the benefits of intermittent fasting, it reduces the oxidative stress. That will be a cancer thing in the long run. It reduces inflammation. That could be cancer, heart disease, and high blood pressure. Once you get inflammation in the body, a lot of the conditions that people suffer from are inflammatory conditions. They just don't understand that heart disease is an inflammatory condition. And it's related to the choices that you're making. It's not the choices of the genes that your parents gave you. It's too easy to hide behind the gene. It's your lifestyle, it's the choices that you make. So when you fast, it actually helps reset your body. It brings down your blood pressure, gives you the better cholesterol, and your heart's going to function better. It will also produce something called HGH, human growth hormone. So once again, this is what helps you build muscle mass. When people say, I'm fasting, I'm going to burn up my muscle. Actually, if you're fasting and working out, you're probably going to put muscle mass back on. And I get into these discussions all the time with people because they have to take massive amounts of protein to keep rebuilding their body. And it's like, if you fasted and had your body produce growth hormone. So basically it's your body's producing things that the bodybuilders would inject in their body. But this is your own, which is better than injecting some foreign substance in from the outside. This is what your body will do when you do the intermittent fasting. And women, don't worry, you're not going to bulk up like Schwarzenegger. It's a good thing for you. You will cut and you will be toned. So that's why it's important that you understand that. But don't give me the, I'm going to turn, he's not going to. That didn't work for me. Not going to work for me. Notice with fasting, it's not for pregnancy, and it's not for eating disorders, and maybe not for diabetics, people with low blood pressure. Check with your medical doctor who knows what they're doing. Now, that's not supposed to be a condescending, but it kind of can be, can it? Because if your doctor knows nothing about diet and nothing about sugar and nothing about fasting and they're telling you about cholesterol and this one pill is going to fix everything, I would not ask your doctor for that advice because he doesn't understand any of this. So you'd have to ask a doctor that's in more of a natural field. Alright? So, not making fun of your doctor, because when people talk about their doctor, they go, my doctor's great, he never gives out opioids. I go, someone's doctor's giving out opioids. You know, it's a crisis. So somebody's doing it, but it's never any of my patients' doctors, which is great. But you don't know. So just make sure that you're asking your doctor the right question. You go in and your doctor thinks that you want antibiotics, it's clear they're more likely to prescribe antibiotics. That's what their own research shows. So I'm just reading you their research. But my doctor would never prescribe it. He only does it exactly when I need to. It's like, wow, that's kind of cool too. Because that's overprescribed. Your doctor's only doing it exactly the right amount of times, not too few and not too more. So when you listen to what you're saying, you gotta, at a certain point, question yourself because it does kind of sound crazy, doesn't it? But people just don't get that. So if your doctor knows what they're doing, take their advice. If they don't know what they're doing, talk to someone who does. To get more information, The Complete Guide to Fasting, Jason Fung. Get a book. I'm not here to tell you everything, all right? I'm here to tell you that you can learn more about those things than I can by simply educating yourself more. And that's what you have to do if you want to make changes in your life. So the ketogenic diet, it forces our body into a condition called ketosis, which is a fat-burning state. So all the diet, everything we had here tonight was on the ketogenic diet and on the Paleo diet and on the advanced living diet. Just this diet is far more restrictive than the other ones. Historically, this was designed in disease management. So what they found was before medication, they found that eating properly could keep you healthy and actually reverse medical conditions. Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
Your lifestyle somehow had an impact on how you were going to live your life. Crazy, isn't it? Well, it was true until drugs came along, and then lifestyle really didn't matter anymore because we have drugs. And you can do whatever you want for as long as you want, and then when your body breaks down, we got all sorts of drugs you can take for the rest of your life. How's that sound? To me, it sounds like a bunch of hooey, but that's what people sign on for. So what they did was they took people with epilepsy and they forced them into ketosis. And you know what? A lot of their symptoms abated. So yes, lifestyle alterations was enough to improve many conditions. Problem with getting into the ketogenic state, and you can see these things online where you can get these machines to blow into and it can tell you if you're in ketosis. You're not, okay? I'm going to save you some money. You're not, I'm not. Because I will have a drink of alcohol at some point. I will have something with sugar in it. To get into ketosis, you need to restrict that for probably upwards of 30 days. There's not a lot of people with the discipline that could do that. I know Adam did. How long did he do the advanced diet the first time that we did when we went grain-free, sugar-free? Oh, he did like 10 weeks or something. I caved around a month. And then I still can't eat that black bean soup anymore. We had black bean soup. No, we had it about a month ago. I had it all. I've been good for 5 years. So, because we started things without all the information. It's like, why read that? We'll just start, come on. And then you start learning that you need a variety. So, those were some interesting meals today. There's far more recipes you can get online, but all those were great. And I could eat something like that every day without feeling that, oh man, I'm not getting like that. Was the brownie? The blonde.
The coconut.
Yeah, the coconut one. And I could have that and think that I've had a dessert, but there was no grains,
no sugar.
Yeah. So that wouldn't be so bad for the rest of your life, would it? Yeah, so throw in the chocolate one every once in a while, you're set. But that involves throwing away other stuff at home, all right? I know. Put it down. So it's a very tough diet to stick with, involves a lot of discipline, and it's hard to stay on it. And it's not one of those, when we were in Ireland, they have these jump-on, jump-off tours, which is cool. You don't jump on, jump off this. This is like, you're on it. And you're on it for 30 days. And they don't want you to be on it for much longer.
It's until you can get your body to be in that state. So most of us can't
do it,
Mhm.
and you have to go on this so that your body can.
Yeah.
If you manage to get yourself and to be able to switch it on and off,
Mhm.
some people are on it for 2 days.
2 days, 2
They
in
might
one.
do a
That's
carb cycle,
yeah,
but
that's my
their
next-
body.
That's my next one.
Oh,
And,
I didn't know.
well, there you go.
Okay.
All right, so the ketogenic, how it works, our body uses sugar. So our body, our brain, we all need sugar in our body. But our body also can use fat. Now, using fat is a better idea because when we burn fat, fat burns a lot hotter. There's more calories in it. So in short supply, we want to use sugar. But once we run out of sugar, if we force our body into a ketone state, then that has to be the only fuel that our body will use. And we do that by a conversion of fat in the liver. So your body can do some amazing things if you make it. If you keep throwing in something sugary, an orange juice, a bagel, grains, your body goes, why would I do that? Why would I do something complicated when you gave me the easy option? So once again, the path of least resistance is what your body's going to do. But if your body has no other source of fuel, it will make this conversion and it will turn that into ketones. And the nice thing about ketones is ketones can get into your muscles without the use of insulin. So typically you have sugar gets in your bloodstream. Now that you got sugar in your bloodstream, you have to get it out. It can't stay there, so your body has to produce insulin to pull the sugar out to get it into our muscles so we can walk around and move and do everything that we need to. Ketones don't need the insulin to get into the muscles. The only other way we can get sugar out of our blood into our muscles and into our organs and into our brain is by exercise. So once again, this is why we talk about you have to move. Because by exercising, now my body, my pancreas, does not have to produce insulin. And I want my body producing a small amount. If you keep forcing your body to produce more and more insulin, at a certain point, things aren't going to work out so well. So the more insulin, the more your body ages quicker, inside and out. So if you can keep those levels lower, organs, muscles, body works a lot better. Does that make sense so far? Good. So we want to change your fuel to become a fat burner. How the ketogenic diet works? Well, once again, you need to go 70 to 80% fat. I alluded earlier today to I have some patients, and they're younger people, and they're kind of skipping steps, and that doesn't work. They're just eating all fat, and they think they're going to put on muscle mass. They're probably going to end up with kidney and liver issues because they're stressing systems that aren't designed to do that. And we shouldn't just eat meat all day long. It's not a good idea, but that's what people do when it comes to fat. Now, fat involves a lot of different things. It could be olive oil, it could be nuts, it could be seeds. So people hear fat and they think T-bone steak. That's not necessarily what we're talking about here. Avocados, fat. Source of fat needs to be pure. Other mistake is people buy the cheapest meats out there, filled with hormones and antibiotics, and then they're asking their body to do a miracle. They're changing the flora of their digestive tract. They say, I don't take antibiotics. Yeah, you do, because you're eating that chicken that was fed antibiotics. So if I take fish, and that fish had mercury, and then I consume the fish, mercury did get into my body. It didn't miraculously not get into my body. All right? So you have to buy quality meat. Monday was our chicken delivery day, so who was involved in chickens from us this time? Okay, 1. And that's 2. But usually it's a lot more hands that go. So we put in an order for, it was 88 chickens. We ended up getting 76 chickens. And some of the chickens died before we killed them. It's horrible when you put it in those terms. And these chickens were free range, pastured, so that they were running around outside in the sunlight and eating off the ground. And then we found a farmer that would do this. If they do supplement, they supplement with a non-GMO. But you know what? This fall was wet and things were growing, so they probably didn't have to do much or any of that. So this is GMO-free chicken. It's not organic, but here's why this is better. Because these chickens were outside, they were eating what they were supposed to. Some of the Costco chickens, you guys see those ones at Costco, don't you? The organic ones, they're like maybe 4 pounds. These little chickens. That's because they're grown inside. They never go outside. They're inhumanely treated. And they're inhumanely treated because they're standing on feces and their whole life is inside a building. they're not living the life that they're supposed to. So you're going to end up with an inferior product. In fact, if that chicken went from 4 to 6 pounds, it would have been on antibiotics because it would have been sick. So that's why they feed. That's why that's in their feed. Not only does the antibiotic work as a steroid, but it also helps protect them in a horrible living environment. The same way if you took a lot of humans and put them all in the same spot and the water wasn't clean and the sanitation wasn't good, guess what? You'd all get sick. Your body would break down. So it's just that simple. You're eating food that is filled with things that are now going to affect your flora, and it's going to make you very, very sick in the long run. So, examples. We want fattier cuts of meat. I know this, blows people's minds because we know fat causes heart disease, don't we? No doubt about that. That can't be wrong. Yeah, it doesn't. That's what people have told you. So you're going to want fatter cuts of meat. You're going to want avocados, nuts, and seeds. And remember, a handful of nuts is a lot of calories. So there's understanding calories too, because when people are eating all sorts of nuts all the time, so I can't believe I'm putting weight on. It's like, yeah, I can. So you need to know before you start in these projects. And this is going to replace all the other bad stuff. It's not I'm throwing this in there and everything else. It doesn't work that way. So 15 to 20% protein on a ketogenic diet, and then finally 5 to 15% carbs. And this is not bread when I'm talking about carbs.
And
Yes.
this isn't quantity, it's calories. So don't, because some people get confused and say 80% of my plate should be
Yeah.
fat.
Yeah.
It's calories, so it's still a small amount.
It's a very small amount. Yeah.
Does that carbs include fruit?
Yeah, but they're very
Avocado.
selective. Yeah.
That's about
Yeah.
that's about anything on this diet.
Yeah.
Perhaps on it might be a blackberry, maybe.
Yeah. So I would
So
say
very
this is
limited.
something, you're not eating an apple, you're not eating,
No.
the things that you want
That's
to
the
eat.
problem with keto, why
Yeah.
people don't stay on it, they don't understand it.
I'm just wondering because we have smoothies every day, right? So we're putting fruit in it.
No,
Can we stop putting protein?
but that,
I
well,
stopped-
it's
Yeah.
not keto.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
going to be
so how are you
keto.
gonna
Yeah.
make it tasty?
Yeah. That's
Then
welcome
maybe you don't want keto.
welcome to the ketogenic diet.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, well then that might not be the right diet for it. And just
Yeah.
remember, that's still the protein powder that you're putting in your body is still a processed food.
Right.
So once again, I wouldn't
When
probably.
I stopped using it, I put
Good,
hemp
yeah.
or
Good,
hemp seed.
exactly. So every other day, those are fine to have some processed things, but that is still ultra processed.
Yeah.
And it's a good source. It's some grass-fed cows from New Zealand, which is fantastic. And it's way better than a lot of other things. But yeah, make sure your berries are organic. Make sure
Yeah.
your spinach is organic. So that would be a good breakfast. But then other breakfasts are 3 or 4 eggs. That's what we'll have, no toast. Some days, one day a week we'll have bread. I still like bread, but it's going to be the organic bread from Costco. So we're not
And
on this, it's sprouted. So we're not on this strict diet because I don't need to be on a strict diet. So that's the whole idea is, that's why when we get to where you want to be, you don't have to be as strict. Now Halloween's coming around. Don't take what I'm saying literally here, too, because people say, oh, it's Halloween, Dr. Jeff, so I can eat anything. No, I didn't. Throw your candy away November 1st. You heard that from me. So the ketogenic diet, how to do it? Well, without a steady supply of sugar, kind of went over this, the body's forced into ketogenesis. Your body produces ketones. This will result in instant and consistent weight loss. But I'll tell you what, you're not getting invited over for dinner. Your friends aren't going to go out for drinks with you because you're not doing any of those things. And some people might need to do that to get their life back, and then you can reintroduce these things. But this is severe restrictions that most people think that they're doing. And part of tonight is, I know we don't like to lie to other people, but lying to yourself is just as bad or worse. So when you lie to yourself about your diet being good and you come in and you try to convince me that you eat well and I know you don't, then I can't help you when you won't let me help you. So you have to realize you have to make some different choices. The benefits, it's going to help your hormones, it's going to avoid blood sugar problems, and it helps with mental clarity. That was the neat thing. That's the hardest thing that I find giving up the fast is because I'm starting to finally get to the point where, 18 hours, my brain starts to get really focused. Compared to, focused, but now things get moving at a slightly different speed. That's because my body is making better choices at that point. There's nothing, digesting food, so we just sat down and we ate. Now a large portion of blood is now been changed where it needs to go. It's going to my digestive tract so that I can deal with what I just forced my body to do. And now my body's got to break it down and it's got to put it where it needs to go in my body. But that means it does change where blood flow goes to, all right? So when you find that you're not sending blood there, it goes to other places of your body. All right, so that's a good thing. Improves cholesterol, blood sugar levels, blood pressure, and obviously your waist size over time. Cons to this, very restrictive, recommended 30 days, and then carb cycle. And carb cycling means 2 days on and 1 day off. So it's a matter of introducing carbs, and then because we still, you should have some form of carbohydrate, but it should be a good form. It should not be a donut. All right. So that's what people get confused. It's a carb. Yeah, it is a carb. It's just a horrible carb. So there's better carbs and there's worse carbs. The paleo diet. Now the paleo diet, short for Paleolithic, this refers to an era in time, 2.5 million to 10,000 years BC. Consists of vegetables, fruit, meat, and fish, and with nuts and seeds. So that's typically what they would have been eating in that era. This is a food that would have been hunted and gathered. So that's why the expression hunters and gatherers. Paleo diet, what to eat? Fruits and veggies are fine. Nuts and seeds are fine. Lean meats, so once again, you're going to see a difference here. They've decided lean meats. All right? But no one really talks about the type of meat or how they raise the meat, which I'll get into in the next diet, because I think you really need to understand the difference of that too. Emphasis on grass-fed and pastured. That's a good thing, because most of the meat that you're eating from a grocery store is not treated that way, and the animal doesn't live the life that way. Wild game, you know what? You don't have to teach a deer what it's supposed to eat. The problem if the deers are eating the corn that's been sprayed by glyphosate, that might not be necessarily the thing you want to put in your body on a regular basis, and you don't know. But glyphosate is a serious issue. That I don't know if you've been watching what's happened to A.G. Bear in the last few days. So there was a lawsuit. The name is Lee Johnson. This guy, he was a greensman or a groundkeeper, and he was using a lot of the glyphosate. And what happened is the company that makes it, Monsanto knew it was dangerous. They have internal memos to prove it was dangerous. They decided not to warn the public. So Dwayne Lee Johnson, not Dwayne Johnson, because I was thinking because he's the Rock, so it's Dwayne Lee Johnson. And this guy's going to die of, I think it's Hodgkin's lymphoma. And he was awarded about 2 months ago $2.89 million. And in this lawsuit, so all of a sudden, Monsanto was bought by Bayer, and Bayer stocks dropped. Then, of course, Bayer is going to appeal what happened by the court, and they lost the appeal. Now, the judgment went from $289.2 million down to $89 million or $98 million. It's one of those numbers. So it's a big difference in what happened. But that's still big when there's 8,000 other cases that are out there that are going to go to court because of glyphosate. And this is stuff, it's sprayed on your kid's cereal. So if you go to the Environmental Working Group, if you go and Google this stuff, this is seriously real stuff. So glyphosate is something that you don't want. It's an antibiotic. And it's sprayed on your food, and guess what? It alters your body's ability to function properly. So if you're going to give them Cheerios, get an organic Cheerios. Or we'd say just get away from cereal. Cereal is not the most important meal of the day. No, breakfast is not the most important meal of the day. This is what Kellogg's convinced you of. And you bought in on it because, everyone needs milk, right? Because we've been told everyone needs milk. So people tell us stuff. There's not a lot of science behind it. It's just a lot of marketing. And with the paleo diet, fish and sea fish are good. But you got to look at that too, because if you're getting your seafood from the Gulf of Mexico and with oil spills and chemicals thrown in there, you got to ask questions nowadays. Just because this diet says it's okay, you still have to know the source of where your food is coming from, oils and nuts. And they say natural sugars are fine, but they don't mean it in the quantities that you want to eat it in, all right? So they just didn't have,
Stevia is natural sugar?
Stevia is a natural
It's a
sugar.
herb from herb.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so that one is fine. It's going to be on the advanced living diet too. But people take things and they say, well, they said I can have maple syrup. They said I can have honey. Yeah, you can, but not on everything. And that's what people do. This will still affect your blood sugar level. It will affect your insulin, and it will eventually make you sick. What not to eat, grains, especially wheat. So even if I could just get people to stop eating wheat or greatly reduce their intake in wheat and sugar, or greatly reduce their sugar for that matter, there'd be incredible changes in your lives already. But people are like, oh, it's only a little, it's only a little. You're walking around in the fog and there's a cliff near the edge and you just don't know where the edge is and you're saying, no, it's not that bad. It's like, it's gonna be bad. All right? So you just keep walking and walking. It's time that you look at this and say, what if I reset my body, take these bad things out for a month or so, then reintroduce them? Well, guess what? Your body would be reset again. It's kind of like emptying out a bucket. If you empty out a bucket, then you pour something in it, it doesn't overflow. But if you're not worried about the bucket, you're never emptying it out, something eventually is going to pour in there and it's going to make a mess. You're waiting for the mess. That's reactive. It's your body, it's your choice. I recommend you make different choices. What not to eat: legumes, beans, lentils, peas, and peanuts. Yeah? Rather restrictive. Dairy products, they're out. Potatoes, refined and chemical sugars. Now, the chemical that refers to, and they always call it artificial sweeteners. Like, why would you eat something that's called artificial? Think about that. I can't believe, it's like the flu shot. Why wouldn't you call it the anti-flu shot? Think about that. You're calling it the flu shot. I already don't want it. If it was called the anti-flu shot, I'd say, okay, the anti-flu, this doesn't sound like a bad idea. Yeah, it's all a bad idea. But the whole idea is, why would you put artificial products into your body and expect your body to make something out of it? It's insane what marketing has gotten away with. Highly processed food, you got to stay away from that too. The benefits? The diet encourages drinking water and activity. Well, those are good, but they're really not diets, they're lifestyle, aren't they? No different than intermittent fasting is not a diet, it's part of a lifestyle. It was funny, was it 2 or 3 years ago where Oprah and Weight Watchers realized that exercise had to be part of, a healthy lifestyle and weight loss. It's like, you guys just woke up and figured that out? Holy cow. This is life-changing information. Join a gym and give Oprah your money is basically what they're saying, but, give Oprah your money. And I wouldn't bet on her. She's a very smart woman, but I wouldn't bet on her on weight loss and her keeping it off. Because when someone says, I love bread, it's like, I know you love bread. You can't eat bread. All right? Bread is bad for you. So people shouldn't be telling you you can do those things. Now, with the paleo diet, it's more flexible. Like I said, jump on, jump off. You can start and stop on these diets. And if you eat more good days, then you'll have better results. Now, our diet on the weekend is going to be different than our diet during the week. I'll be the first to admit it. But if I'm at Dairy Queen on Monday having a blizzard, you don't even want to know what my weekend would be like, do you? Because when people eat bad during the week, they're going to step it up on the weekend to a new level of bad. That's why we don't do those things. That's why we don't have these products at home, because if they were there, you'd be more likely to eat it. Benefits of the paleo diet: weight loss, improved glucose tolerance. So now we're not challenging our body and our hormones are in balance. And yes, insulin is a hormone, and it lowers your triglycerides, so your fats. Better blood pressure control. So simple things that are going to keep you healthy. It's going to keep you out of your doctor's office. If I keep you out of your doctor's office, you're not going to have as many encounters with your doctors, and they're not going to give you as many drugs. I'm 55. My last medication was 29 years and 2 months ago? 1 month ago. So it was September, a long time ago. 29 years and 1 month is the last time I took any medication. And I'm not doing a whole lot of different things than you. I'm just doing it a little more consistently, likely, than you. So if I can go 29 years without something, gee, I think you can probably do it too. And I have people that are older than me that are, more drug-free than me. So I plan on getting through my life without relying on medicine to stay well. I want to make my own choices. The cons of this diet: it allows you to have sugar. The problem with having sugar is people tend to take advantage of that. There's a temptation to overeat meat, like one of my patients who's only eating meat. And these are crazy ideas. To me, it's no different than someone says, I'm only going to eat vegetables. It's like, well, no one's ever just, gone vegan and eaten that way any time on earth before. You didn't just go and plant a crop and sit there and wait for it to, and then it's like, it's crazy. And a vegan lifestyle, that just means you can eat sugar all day. You could have grains all day. It's not healthy. So some of these choices, some of these vegetarians, like, What do you mean? I'm eating ice cream. Well, I'm a vegetarian. Well, I would eat ice cream. So you can eat ice cream all day and be a vegetarian. You know, it probably wouldn't be a good idea, but you're a vegetarian. Well, that's what certain diets are like. They're crazy. High protein diets, they tax the liver and kidneys. So that's, you know, certainly not something that we want to do. And on the paleo diet, there's no whole grains, legumes, and dairy products. So you're missing fiber, vitamins, and other nutrients that you might need. Advanced meal plans. So this is more of the maximized living stuff that we've been talking about for years. So maximized living, there's two diets. There's the basic meal plan and the advanced plan. The basic one, we let you have some grains and we let you have some sugar. You know, it's not super restrictive, but it's just understanding that people put way too much sugar in your body. When you get to the advanced plan, these are people who have some health issues. And I want you to be on no grains and no sugars. Now, the first time we went on no grains and no sugars, it was day 4, I think, that I laid in bed like a heroin addict. And it was just like, sugar is incredibly addictive and you don't understand. So, I've told you the story before, Starbucks, me, and caramel macchiatos, we had this thing going on. So, you know, weekly, sometimes twice a week, I'd sneak away with a Linda and I'd have my $5 sugar. Went back once after we went about that 30 days or 28 days, however, I didn't get as far as Adam. And I went back, bought one caramel macchiato, took one sip, and had to throw it away. Because at that point, well, I didn't realize how much sugar I liked. So my body just got used to sugar. So you sugar addicts out there, it's just because as soon as you stop doing it, you'll realize how bad and how sweet sugar is, and you'll just stop it. But you need to have that moment, and you need to come off of sugar to realize how sweet it is. But if you're constantly putting it in your body, you don't realize it's sweet. You go, you know, it's just part of who you are. So these are the changes that you have to make. So major changes that are different with this diet than other diets. People have too much sugar in there. And we also look at the toxicity, because the other diets really don't address toxicity. So you need to understand the proper sources of meat. You need to understand cleaning products. These are things that you're exposed to that will alter your hormones and stop you from losing weight also. So that's why you got to understand that there's a toxic environment, and some things we can control, other ones you can't. So control what you can. Filter your water, a real simple one. Stop taking as much medication. One of the most toxic things you put in your body is your medication. How do I know it's toxic? Because if you double to triple your dose, you die. Do you see that? That's kind of a definition of toxicity, isn't it? Because if you double your dose and it's going to kill you, that means you're putting little bits of toxins in with the idea that it's somehow going to save you. It's kind of a dichotomy if you look at it. Toothpaste, we used to have the toothpaste up here. Oh yeah, we do. The fluoride in here. And when you read the warning labels on these things, warning, if you ingest more than you use for brushing, seek a poison control center immediately or go to a hospital. This is what they say on there. So they're saying the fluoride, if you brush it on a daily basis, is good for you. However, if we flavor it, which we do with kids' toothpaste, and then you ingest the whole tube, there's enough fluoride in there, according to what the lawyers say, to poison you. So the dichotomy of, oh, a little fluoride's good, but a little too much is going to kill you. That means it's toxic. Get that? We pay more money for toothpaste without fluoride in it, and I kind of scratch my head and I say, wait a second, doesn't fluoride have some kind of value to it? So if you don't have it in my toothpaste, shouldn't my toothpaste be cheaper? No, it isn't. Well, just buy the stuff or make your own. You can do a lot of things, but the reality is you have to understand toxicity. And once again, that's essential number 5, and that's not what we're talking about here tonight, but just kind of that eye-opener moment. And people don't put enough good fats in their body. They don't understand what fats are, and they don't understand good fats. Now, counting calories. This is a big one, and a myth that you really need to understand. Now, if you believe in calorie counting, then I would say the Twinkie is your best bet here, because it's got 3 calories less than the nuts. But we all know that the Twinkie's not a good choice, don't we? So it's not about the calories, it's about the quality of the calorie. So don't start counting calories, you're wasting your time. Stevia, natural sweetener, it's not going to affect your blood sugar level though. That's why that one's so important. Good fats, bad fats, you know, we can quickly go over these things, but it's simple. You know what you're supposed to eat. Virgin olive oil, avocados, avocado oil, raw nuts and seeds. Now, at Costco, they were roasted nuts, weren't they, that I brought home? Roasted, but not salted. So, you know, some of these things, you can't exactly get what you want, but when you start to see seasoned peanuts in a grocery store, seasoned peanuts means they've added, I don't know what to it, probably sugar. So they have changed it. So it's not a peanut anymore. It's a dessert.
And dry roast is important.
I really good, aren't they?
Well, because if they roast it, they're usually in a bad oil.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to see dry food.
Yeah, so think about these things when it comes to Christmas planning and events that you're going to do. And your guests will eat what you put out, and it's an opportunity to educate. And before I always forget about this, our next talk, I'm going to pass this around, or you can go and sign this at the end. This is our next workshop. It's 5 weeks from now today. It's called Surviving Christmas. And one of the issues with, and it's a shame that we take a great Christian holiday and then we just mess it up. We eat all the wrong foods, we drink too much, we go in debt, and all in the name of the Lord. And it's like, seriously guys, you can't do that. You can't blame him for your 30 days of bad eating. My line is, I'll give you 3 days of bad eating, that's for the whole month. Alright? Anything else it's on you. And then that leads into my next workshop, which is going to be in January, of how to lose weight because you didn't show up to that workshop. And now you're kind of behind the gun and you haven't set goals and you don't know how to do those things. So I want you to lose 5 pounds in December instead of gaining 10 pounds. It's not my choice. It's your choice. So how do you do that? By giving people quality food and whole foods. The vegetable oils are bad for you. I don't care if people say canola is good. They're wrong, all right? Canola oil is an oil you shouldn't have. So if you need to know the particulars, ask us about those. But these are the clean products that we eat. So we're going down to London. I have a farmer that I found there. He's kind of West Lauren area. And I have room for a couple more orders. But what happens is he's got a farm, and it's not organic, but he treats it organically. So basically nothing has been sprayed. He just didn't go and get the certification, which costs money. And when that costs money, it costs you money. So I've been to his field. It's grass-fed. It's grass-finished. I've seen the cows. And then he takes it to the butcher, and then you can get it in 50-pound boxes. So you can get 50 pounds of hamburger for $250. Let me do the math. That's $5 a pound. It's frozen hamburger. All right? And if you want steaks, well, the box is now $6 a pound, and it's kind of like a third hamburger, a third steak, and a third roast. So now you can get a T-bone for $6 a pound. You can't do that. If you go and try to find just organic hamburger, you're going to be paying probably $10 a pound. So you're paying twice as much. The difference is it's frozen and it's not certified. But it is. It's just not, he didn't go through the certification process. So we're going down, I think we have 9 or 10 orders already. There's only about room for 12 or 13 when they butcher a cow. So if you think you want it, let us know. You'll be on the bottom of the list. And once again, we start at the top and then we fill the orders. And if we don't get you on this one, I'll go down again in April. And then we'll go down again in July. So I go there 2 or 3 times a week. I pick it up and it's like the chicken drop off. Our parking lot's 7:30 at night. Please show up because I don't have 200 extra pounds of freezer space to put your meat away. So you've already paid me. If I were you, I'd show up, It would just be better for you. Toxic food, GMOs, all these things that we see that people aren't respecting. Genetically modified food is going to alter how your body works. And yes, you can't taste these things. We see these nutritional arguments of, well, this food tastes the same. It's like, well, I'm not arguing the taste. I'm not even arguing the nutrition. I'm arguing you've sprayed a pesticide on the food that I saw what the farmer was wearing when he sprayed it. He was wearing that moon suit for a reason. I don't want that on my food because it's going to go into my body and then my body's going to say, oh, broccoli, but wait a second. It's broccoli with something poisonous on it. How do I absorb it? It confuses your digestive tract. It wants broccoli. It doesn't want poison broccoli. So now your body doesn't know what to do with it. It creates indecision and problems in your body. So the advanced diet is all about hormone repair and weight loss. It's about getting rid of inflammation, and it will accelerate the weight loss. And if you go on that diet, you'll get great results, but you have to be disciplined. You have to go off of sugar. And there really isn't something you should be doing, well, that's my cheat day. Go a month. Go a month on this, and then you can start to reintroduce things. But you can have Granny Smith apples on this. I think there's a slide here that goes into some of these things. You can have some fruit on this diet, where you're not going to get away with that with some of the other diets because they're super restrictive. So, here's what we want to do on the advanced plan. So we want to remove the sugar and the simple carbs. So eliminate your grains and your sugars and fruit, except we'll give you berries, grapefruits, and Granny Smith apples. Everything else turns to sugar very quickly. We want to replace your protein with properly raised animals. You can't skip that step. Everyone says, oh, I'll do this without that. It won't work. All right? You have to do them all in sequence. You can't just do the ones that you want to do. It won't work out that way. So this is why you plan and you do these things. And you need to remove the bad fats and replace them with good fats. And I'm not saying you have to eat meat. You can eat avocados. So you can eat things. You can have olive oil, more olive oil. These are healthy fats. So it's not all about meat. In fact, I'd rather have you cut back on some of your meats. Foods to avoid, well, it's foods people want to eat. It's the processed foods, it's the sugar substitutes. There is no substitute for sugar. Sugar is sugar. Everything else is artificial. Sucralose. Why do you think they came up with the name sucralose? It's because it sounds like sucrose, which is a form of sugar. So sucralose is made up in a laboratory, and they go with a name that confuses you because you know enough about nutrition that you've heard what you thought you were supposed to hear. You've heard sucrose. No, it's sucralose. You think, oh, it must be just a different... No, there is no form of sucralose naturally occurring in nature. It's not a real product. These are the people you're up against. It's a challenge. How to read a label. People always talk about hidden sugar. Well, first, there's no sugar in this. This is peanut butter. And it's funny because some of these things you look at and you go, where's the ingredient list? Then you finally find there and you go, organic roasted, unblanched Valencia peanuts. Oh, it was very wordy, but the only thing in there is peanuts. That is peanut butter. That's what it used to be. Well, here's Skippy peanut butter. Now right here it says, what does that say? No trans fats. All right, now a trans fat is a transformed fatty acid. Transformed fatty acids, they damage our body. So it clearly says there's no trans fat. Let's look down on the ingredient list. Hydrogenated vegetable oil. That's a trans fat, isn't it? It's right on the label. How did that happen? They made a deal with the government that if the serving size was a particular size, then the trans fat disappeared. So I think the rule is if there's only 0.5 grams of trans fat per serving, then you can say it's not on there. Well, all right, I'm Skippy. My serving size used to be a tablespoon. What if I make it a teaspoon? Guess what? The trans fat just vanished. Do you see my map there? I changed my serving size. I didn't change the recipe. I abided by the rules because if it was less than 0.5 grams per serving size. So that's why when you see some of those Gatorade bottles and you look and say, oh, there's not much sugar in there. Yeah, there's like 2.5 servings in there. So you just read the panel and you forget how big the bottle was. So you look at it and think there's only so many grams of sugar in there per serving size. That's not one serving size. That's more than one serving size. So you have to watch for those things. So this is the peanut butter that you shouldn't eat. And when you look at this one, the first component, well, that's good. The first ingredient is roasted peanuts. That's great. It's not organic, but at least it's peanuts. That's probably good news, isn't it? Because when we go to the Nutella, this is the Nutella label right here. You know what the first ingredient in Nutella is? Sugar. It's sugar. Yeah, yeah. And then there's palm oil, vegetable oil. I'm sorry. And then hazelnuts. See, Nutella, they say it's made from hazelnuts. It's like, no, it's not. It's made from sugar. And then it's made from vegetable oil. And then the third ingredient is what they're telling you is good for you. It's like you're giving your children sugar for breakfast. Read the label. So back to this label. So, peanuts, that's great. Second ingredient, soybean oil. Wouldn't you rather have peanut oil in your peanut butter? Well, someone sold the peanut oil to someone else, and they put a cheap GMO product in there, but it's nice because then you don't have to stir the peanut butter because we all know how much time that takes. It's like, just thinking about it right now, stirring my peanut butter. And then, let's go on to the next ingredient, maltodextrin. You might not know what that is, but you'll probably know the next one, icing sugar. Oh, well, let's go back to the last one. Maltodextrin is sugar. So now the next, pardon?
It's a type of sugar.
Yeah, it's a maltodextrinase sugar, and you got isosugar. Now you take these. Now one of the health ministers in Canada was trying to take, because this is what these producers do. They have different forms of sugar in there, and they were trying to. The government was trying to force the producers to add up all their sugars, because now I've got 2 sugars written down individually. The way an ingredient label works is the most prominent thing, then the next, and the next, and the next. Well, I'm going to make the argument that if I add those 2 together, maybe you would have overcome number 2 there. So I might be wrong. I might not be right. I might be right or wrong. But the whole idea is they did it for a reason. All right. So it's the manipulation. It's the fact that they're not telling you the truth, and you're believing them. You walk into a grocery store and say, it's got to be healthy, it's in a grocery store. Wow, you Christians, you guys are way too woolly. You gotta think about what you're saying. It's insane what you think. People are always trying to lie to you. You have to understand this is not a good product. Vegetable oil, we talked about that, and then they're going to throw in some salt at the end. So I know which peanut butter I'd have at home, even though I'm going to have to stir it. You keep it in the fridge though, can't you? If you keep it in the fridge, it kind of stays that way. But then it's a little hard, so that's another issue too. I know.
It's still separate.
I know, and this is the easy stuff to do, guys. And people are like, well, I can't change. The kids won't eat that. Your kids go grocery shopping? No, then they'll eat it. It's real simple. Yeah, well, they'll take their own money and they'll go out and buy it. Then, okay, have yourself no fun with that.
Costco almond butter. Costco's almond butter.
Yeah. Yeah, almond butter's better than this, but almond butter's got super duper expensive. So, and there's a certain point that I stop at because, for example, we got our chickens, and Linda's saying, well, the chicken's good, but the organs are better. It's like, yeah, they are, but I'm never going to eat them, so they're probably not going to be any good for me at all. So it's the same thing with almond butter. We'll use it for cooking, but I won't use it for anything else because I don't enjoy it. So if I don't enjoy it, I'm not going to eat it. So there comes that point where I'll say, I'll stop here and be happy. But yeah, I'd be happier if I did that, and then Linda would think I'd be happier if I'd eat the entrails of the chicken, but it's not going to happen, so there's no point. Linda goes, oh, I get the heart again. It's like, every Sunday I have the liver too, but I'm not eating any of those things. There's something wrong with you that wants to eat
Is that
those
European
things.
heritage?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
No
I
one-
got Scottish
don't
and
tell
Irish.
them
Is that European?
She
Yeah.
lies. Seriously.
I got everything Canadian. I mean,
You need advice, you need books. There's good books out there. If just people buy books, I think we have one copy left of this book. You better run a figure today. No, it's a
We
book
have
that
it.
was good for a while, and we got great recipes on our website. There's free stuff out there too. So what you need to do is change your recipes. All your recipe books at home. How often do you use them anymore?
Not very often.
Yeah, it's because we radically change it, and it gets so easy to change your diet after a while. But we used to have our favorites, and you'd have your scalloped potatoes, and there'd be certain things you'd always have. But then you realize they're not as healthy, and then you just adapt. So our pizzas, most of them are cauliflower crust now. And you know what? They're work to make them, but we make them, we freeze them, and then we still have a lot of those in the freezer, don't we? Yeah, we just forget about them. We eventually go and we find stuff, and they're great. Yes,
how many freezers do you have?
at home. At home.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, we have.
That's
We
what I
have.
was-
We
I
have
was just thinking.
yeah, we have two 10.5 cubic foot
Yeah.
freezers from Costco at home, one 14-foot Costco freezer to stand up, and that one's the one that the door has gotten left open. And it's really hard to leave the door or the lid open in the chest freezers. But that one's got left open before, so now we've realized that leave the steaks on the bottom shelf because heat rises. So you'll put your processed food up there because one day it got left open, and then you wake up, you find it in the morning, a nice Saturday, you get up out of bed and you realize now Saturday is going to involve cooking all day long because now you've got $500 worth of meat and it's all going to be gone.
Elevate the upright freezer, the door will shut.
Yeah, it was just one of those things, but it's like a lock on a door. A lock on a door is great when you close it. If the door is wide open, it won't work. So, you can kid-proof as much as you want, but if you leave the door open, that little pumping it up won't do what you need to do. So, obviously kids moving out is the solution, but... And then we have all sorts of, we wouldn't need all these freezers. And then there's still 3 fridges that we run at home, and there's the 10.5 foot cubic foot freezer that we have here, and that is kind of our chicken drop off. Sometimes steaks end up in there. We're at Costco. Well, we're at Costco. And then the food gets left in there or put in there before we go home because, we come into work and then we go home and that's how our freezers get, used. But if you're going to eat fresh and you're going to do these things, sometimes we have a pig in there. We have no pigs in there right now, which is, we haven't had a pig in a couple of years, which is, I don't really miss it. So we go to the market, pay a little bit more and just buy it in bits and pieces. So you got to make some wholesale changes to your diet, and if you do, your body's going to work so much better. But some of these diets, read, figure out if they're right for you, and then do it. But go home and look at what you're going to have for breakfast tomorrow. For example, if I want to eliminate grains with my breakfast, I'll have 3 or 4 eggs. Eggs aren't bad for you, but I'd recommend you get good eggs. You might not have good eggs. Next time, get better eggs. Yes?
Yogurt.
Yogurt, yes. We have our choices up here. And so, once again, you can get that at Farm Boy or you can get it at Goodness Me.
Always
So-